Good afternoon, my fellow Jamaicans. How are you today? I thought I would jump on to this live to talk about the situation we're seeing right now at the Ministry of Education. Actually, two things I want to talk about. One of them has to do with the fact that I got a call this morning from a fellow Jamaican who I don't know. I don't know the person personally. I've never met the person before. Um, but the person called quite bewildered because their child has been told that the child will not be able to sit examinations unless they take the JUC. Now, I mean, I find that to be just reprehensible, that a school teacher, principal, administrator would feel that they have the jurisdiction to tell children that they cannot sit their examinations unless they take the JUC, unless the child decides that they're going to um, give up their bodily autonomy and not even with consultation with the parents. So they haven't consulted the parents. They've just simply told the child that you won't be able to sit your exams unless you take the JUC. And so they're pressuring these children, forcing these children, and pressuring the parents to take this JUC. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good to see you. Thank you for being on. I'm really very concerned about this because what it means is that a child is trying to prepare for examinations, trying to study, trying to get ready to take exams. And here it is, you have the principal and teachers of a school telling this child that on top of all the pressures, after being out of school for nearly 2 years and time is going, this is your one special moment in life. You don't get a redo of any particular year in school. You can try and make up, but when you lose a year, you lose a year. And now these children are trying to get ready to take their exams, and they're going to be told by principals and teachers that they cannot take the exam unless they take the JUC. This is the kind of thing which the Prime Minister is allowing. And I want to cry shame right now. I want to cry shame on the school, Denbigh High School. It's a crying shame what you're doing. And I want to tell you to stop. I tried calling you this morning. I didn't get an answer. And the Minister of Education, the parent, point out that the school is adamant that the child will not be allowed to take the exam unless the child takes the JUC. And when the parent called the Ministry of Education, they give the parent the runaround to call this number, to call that number, instead of having a definitive answer and tell the parent that what the school is doing is wrong, and then call the school and let them know that what they're doing is wrong. The Ministry of Education, under the auspices of the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Mr. Andrew Holness, is failing the children and parents of this country. You were not elected to be a dictator. You were elected to defend and protect the rights of the Jamaican people. At least you should have been. Clearly, you don't think so, and clearly that's not the case. And instead, what the Prime Minister and his ministries and his cabinet and all the others are doing, they are all there trying to force the Jamaican people to take a substance into their bodies that they don't want to take. Our bodies is the last line, the last defense between us and slavery. When we lose authority over our bodies, that's it. And the Prime Minister, the Minister of Education, Favour Williams, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, the principals, administrators, and teachers of our schools, you need to know that what you're doing to our children is wrong. On top of the fact that they're stopping children from taking examinations if they don't take the JUC, they're also discriminating, and only allowing students who have taken the juke to receive face-to-face help in their preparation for examination. So they're also putting these children at risk by marginalizing them and discriminating against them and pushing them aside. Discrimination, apartheid. I I didn't think I'd ever be in a country in Jamaica where we as a country decides to embrace apartheid. We fought against apartheid in South Africa. We stood up with countries in Africa and Cuba and around the world to defend the rights of people. And here we are in this country now defying the rights of our own citizens. Yes, Andrew Holness must go. I mean, obviously, he doesn't care about Jamaicans. He doesn't care about our children. He doesn't care about our families. I'm going to play a video for you. It's a video that captures not just the singular element of corruption, but it defines what is wrong with this government. They have misplaced priorities. The government is taking its eyes off the things that needs to be attended to and is focused on pushing and being a salesman for pharmaceutical products that falls in line with their foreign master's agenda. We have a government and a prime minister that has become the puppet and the parrot of pharmaceutical companies and their foreign masters. And because of that, they are taking their eyes off the ball. They're not protecting our children. They're not protecting our citizens. They're not protecting our finances. They're not defending our economy. And because of that, all manner of corruptions are taking place while they're distracting us with this fight against a virus that they neither understand nor care to understand, and fighting for a product that they neither understand nor care to understand. Instead, they're fighting for the wrong set of people. Mr. Prime Minister, the people you are supposed to fight for are the Jamaican people, not Pfizer or AstraZeneca, not the makers of those products. You're supposed to be fighting for us. You should not be seeking to lock up people for not wearing a mask while your own staff are stealing our monies. So we have people stealing millions of dollars every day while Jamaicans are suffering and struggling with the police deployed right across the island, hunting down innocent citizens, while crime is escalating, while our children are out of school, not learning, while principals and teachers are seeking to enforce mandates which is no place of theirs to enforce. When is it right for teachers and principals or administrators to be telling students what they should take medically? Who has given school principals the authority to prescribe medication? When did we get to this place where principals and teachers are going to prescribe medication? Seriously, how did we get here? All because of an irresponsible, evil, and demonic prime minister who is committed to selling out the Jamaican people if it's the last thing he does before he leaves office. But we won't allow it. I want you to watch this video. This video will explain to you how the JLP and the PNP have been sinking this ship called Jamaica by secretly, covertly, nefariously extracting our wealth through all means of corrupt schemes, while tricking us with all kind of words and all kind of rules and laws, hunting us down like criminals on our streets to see if are we wearing a mask, while them themselves behind closed doors, unless somebody leak a video, are not even honoring the very rules that they want us to follow. This mask is a symbol of slavery. And we need to stop this. We need to stop it now. But watch this. I want you to watch this video and tell me what you think, because obviously we have a government which has lost control of its senses. Let's take a watch and see.
McLean to step aside while investigating.
Let's try that again.
News that Dr. McLean has gone on leave comes less than 24 hours after the Auditor General report on matters relating to the JCTE and the Education Ministry was tabled in Parliament. The Auditor General, Pamela Monroe-Ellis, has called for the police or an anti-corruption agency to conduct a probe following the transfer of $124 million by the ministry to the Joint Committee for Tertiary Education, JCTE, under questionable circumstances. There has been no official statement from the Education Ministry. However, the parliamentary opposition earlier called for Dr. McLean to step aside while investigations are conducted into the transfer of the funds and activities which took place under her watch.
What we are finding is that her name keeps cropping up either as an individual with responsibility or an individual who should have seen or should have done something about a number of issues. This is the same JCTE, by the way, that months before we have been talking about in terms of how they were handling their association with the Western Hospitality Institute and the Water Camp.
The funds were transferred to the JCTE over a 32-month period. Some of the money was related to educational programs which the JCTE was carrying out under MOU with the ministry. However, to date, the ministry has not been able to account for the use of the $124 million. In seeking to justify his refusal to provide the accounting records of the committee for review by the Auditor General, the chairman of the JCTE, Cecil Cornwall, stated that the JCTE had become a private entity which he registered in February 2019 under the name JCTE Limited. He argued that the Auditor General therefore had no legal authority to review its accounting records. Despite that claim, Mrs. Monroe-Ellis found that between February 2019 and June 2020, the Education Ministry transferred $78.5 billion to the JCTE using the tax registration number TRN issued in 2017 on the basis that the entity was a government institution. But the plot thickens. Despite purportedly learning that Cecil Cornwall registered a company with the name JCTE Limited and was imposing the company on the government while refusing to account for government funds received, Dr. McLean still allowed transfer by the Education Ministry. Between April and June 2020, $11.2 million was transferred to the JCTE. So, was anything done to address the issue? On June 2019 this year, the Auditor General received correspondence from the Education Ministry that it made efforts to sever ties with JCTE after learning that the organization's leadership registered a private entity by the name JCTE Limited. However, Mrs. Monroe-Ellis says the JCTE remains a committee established under the Education Act. The Auditor General says the Education Ministry is therefore responsible for all transfer made to JCTE Limited. Anthony Look, TVJ News.
So there you have it, friends. Another $124 million of Jamaicans' money or hard-earned taxes have been stolen under the leadership of Andrew Holness. Another major loss. And guess what? That is just what we find out about. Hats off to the Auditor General for helping us to find this one small example of a massive corruption problem in Jamaica. $124 million that could have fed children, that could have helped to improve the quality of a school, that could have helped the poor in a community that is suffering and struggling because of the impacts of the unnecessary lockdowns that were used to cripple small businesses. Yes, here we have a government that continues to oppress the Jamaican people while stealing their money. And look what they did. They created a fake company, JCT Limited, and claiming that because it's a private company, the Auditor General has no jurisdiction. Lie. They do this all the time. All the time they create these fake entities, fake contracts, create fake jobs, and use those avenues to rob the Jamaican people, and they keep robbing us and robbing us and robbing us, and we keep electing them. Fortunately, only 21% voted for this government. Fortunately, 63% of us did not support either of the two parties in the last election. And now the time has come for us to vote, and we have to vote differently. We cannot see the PNP as an effective opposition, because it's not. Every time they open their mouth to talk about one item of corruption, you see a big sea of corruption on their face. They can't even talk straight. They can't even say what they're saying with a straight face, because they are themselves the epitome of corruption. They have mastered corruption. And I noticed this. Whenever the PNP is in opposition, they're very, very good at finding corruption. And they should be, because they are the masters of corruption. They know every nook and cranny as to how a party in power can steal from the Jamaican people. And so the PNP has been stealing from us for years upon years upon years. One of the biggest theft was FinSac. Massive theft by the PNP. One of the biggest theft of the JLP happened very early in the 1960s, when they received millions of dollars to build schools. And we only got half the number of schools out of the money that they got. They stole the rest. And we, the Jamaican people, had to suffer and pay back that money. We pay it back with a bad police service. We pay it back with poor schools. We pay it back with a poor education. We pay it back with much of our tax dollars going to pay principal and interest on a debt we haven't benefited from, which robbed our economy. We pay it back with less jobs. We pay it back with a poor quality police. So we have been paying back the theft of the PNP and GLP now for years. And it's time for us to stop that. It was a massive transfer of wealth from the struggling poor and middle class during the 1990s on the PJ Patterson and Omar Davis that robbed the Jamaican people millions and millions and killed some 40,000 jobs, which affects young people today. Many of our young people don't know why today they can't find jobs, because the PNP killed jobs in the 1990s. Why we have such a poor education system today? Because the JLP killed our education system in the 1960s. Why we have such a low dollar and the value of it is always dropping? Because the PNP and the JLP together mashed up our country so that our productivity level continues to decline, and therefore the value of the dollar continues to decline, and the cost of living continues to be unattainable for most of us. Which is why almost every young person today leaving university will not be able to buy a decent home, because they have been damaged by mismanagement, bad governance, and outright theft. Andrew cannot manage. It is clear that Andrew cannot manage government, or he is complicit with what is going on. In either case, he's not fit to be prime minister. If he can't manage, which obviously he's not able to manage, because if you watch carefully, every minute there's a new corruption under this government, every minute. And the Prime Minister has been at the center of a number of corruptions, but he's still there. But there have been so many losses to the Jamaican people under this government and the ones before. And so either Andrew cannot manage, either he's incompetent, or he is complicit and is a part of it, which is why he took as long as he did to try to cover for Ruel Reid. Which is why he's always trying to find some dodgy way to get around the system. So we can't trust him. He's very corrupt. His party is very corrupt, and the two parties are themselves very, very corrupt. So Andrew is focused instead on pushing the COVID agenda. He's busy trying to find people. If you notice, the police are out in their numbers. What are they trying to do? They're not trying to catch criminals. Everywhere you drive now, police is on the road. They're not out there trying to catch criminals. They're out there to catch honest, decent, hardworking Jamaicans who are not in compliance with Andrew's COVID mandates. That's what they're out there for. The police are out there to catch poor people and fine them $200,000, $500,000, $600,000. They're there to suck more money out of us. That's what the police is out there doing. They're not hunting down the real criminals, the ones that are killing our mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and uncles and nieces and nephews. That's not what they're out there for. And who are raping our girls and our children. They're out there trying to find innocent Jamaicans who are not wearing a mask or who they claim is breaking the DRMA, to haul them off the streets in a truck, waste taxpayers' time and money processing them. When the police is using its time to collect innocent people and throwing them in trucks, right? That's precious resources that they're spending. The time that should be spent going over intelligence and hunting down criminals and finding them, those who have committed crimes last week, last month, last year, and investigating and checking out and going to places and getting evidence and so on, and finding persons to come and give evidence in court, instead of spending our tax dollars and resources on doing that. We have a government which is committed to sending the majority of our tax resources to go after people who are not wearing masks. My God, what a sick set. And by the way, there is no solid evidence that this mask thing actually works. We have not spent any serious time getting serious evidence to prove that putting masks on people actually works to stop anything. In fact, as a matter of fact, many Jamaicans were not very complicit initially with the wearing of mask issues. And so from February 2020 until July, August of this year, what has been the impact of the fact that many people, not most, many people were not wearing masks, and if they even wear it, they were not wearing it right. Most times you see somebody wearing it, they must suffocate, so the mask is here. They have the mask, below their nose. Yeah. So if the mask thing was failing, which it would have been, we should have seen a massive, problem. But we didn't see that massive problem. So it's a lie. It's all a lie, and the Prime Minister is tricking us. And while he's tricking us, he's making us sick. Because at the same time, when people are not wearing, when people are wearing the mask, they're being deprived of oxygen. You're actually, putting yourself in a position where you can actually become sick. So this is serious. So this is really very serious. And so we have a Prime Minister who seems to be not only a poor manager, but maybe a very dunce person too. I mean, because only a dunce would be inflicting all of this pain on their people with so much information available globally that shows that it's unnecessary to be punishing Jamaicans with this. And so, my fellow Jamaicans, I want you to make sure that you raise your voice. Don't just sit there. Raise your voice. Join in. We have a campaign going on right now. It's called All Are Welcome. And in that campaign, our goal is to make sure that any company, any business, any investment firm which is practicing medical apartheid, we must boycott those businesses. We must boycott them. And I want you to all write it and let me know to our number 2930812. Let me know of any student who's been barred from examinations or from face-to-face instructions because they do not subscribe to taking the joke. Let me know. I need to hear from you. I need you to send a message and let me know. Tell me which school it is. Give me a name, a principal, a phone number for the school, and let us try to deal with this. Yes. So we have to boycott them. We have to make sure that we stop them from doing this thing to us. Now we have the power, people. We have the power. Me and you, we have the power. Andrew and his other 62 members of parliament, they don't have the power. We have the power. They're just using power that we give them. We allow them, right? And they have control of our police. They have control of our army, so they can do to us what they want with these armies. But if we stand up, they cannot stand against us. They cannot stand against us. So please, go to our website, uicjamaica.com, sign up and get your relatives and your friends and your neighbors, your co-workers. Tell everybody. And I want you to form a group in your community. It's coming in nicely. I'm getting reports now of groups being formed right across the country, UIC groups in every community. So please get your group together, 12 persons or more, and send in and let us know the name of your group and where you're located, and we start working with you to work your community so that we have the numbers to overcome this government. We need to do that. So thank you very much for joining me today. I won't be long with you, just a little 30-minute session, because I saw this really bad news here. And did you know, by the way, that the bribe that they gave out about, what was it, $10,000 to persons to go and take the juke. And I can assure you, a lot of those $10,000 went somewhere else. It didn't go to the people that you think it would have gone to. Stolen as well. They're busy stealing the people's money left, right, and center. You cannot trust them. Okay? So, let me see here. We have some notes on the screens. Some person saying, yes, we never wear masks outside. Another person says, I never collect no $10,000. Yes, they steal it. They put your name down and you put all your paperwork in, and then the money went somewhere else. They want to bribe taxi drivers now. Yes, they want to give them 2,500 gas voucher. And I can assure you, by the way, many of those gas vouchers are going to end up in the hands of some persons who should not have gotten them. And you're going to have one person who get all 50 gas vouchers. And so while you and I have to work hard and pay for our gas and pay for our taxi fare and bus fare, then get to thief our money through these grand government schemes. Because remember, government does not have any money. The only money government has is what it takes from us. Okay? The only money government has is what it steals from us, or what it gets from us in the form of taxes. And so all that money that you're giving out and all the bribes you're giving out is your money. The question is asked, what about the NIDS bill that has been passed? It's a travesty. The NIDS bill, like the DRMA, will be used to suppress and oppress the Jamaican people. At this point, the only way for us to stop them now is to beat them at the polls. So we have to organize, right? We have to beat them in an election, and it won't be fair and square, because they're going to use all our tax dollars and monies from the private sector, big business organizations, and they're going to come at us from every corner. But you know why the UIC is going to win? Because the UIC is the People's Party. The UIC don't have to buy any votes because we don't need to, and we won't. The UIC is going to be elected because the Jamaican people say it's time for real change. No more switching. We're not going to switch anymore, switch between one side of the same coin. We're now going to do real change. Yeah. Local government election, Douglas, it's up to the Prime Minister to call it, and it will likely happen sometime next year, early next year. So we have to act now to get all of our councillors in place, all 228 councillors. We need to have them in place. Okay? Thank you, Nikota. I will stay strong. I will stand firm. And if we work together, We can change Jamaica, all of us together. Yeah, we can make it happen. Um, yes, San, the UIC will be a grassroots organization, and we're going to get the grassroots vote. I'm really proud of what's happening right now in Jamaica. If right across the country, people are standing up and saying they're going to support the UIC, without us having the money to do a lot of community traveling and all. We don't have the money. I don't have the money. I've spent all of my savings now. I'm nearly broke. I've lost, how much is it? Let me tell you how much I lost. What is it now? 25 times roughly 200. So, my God. So I've lost since this thing has started. Just in the period when they locked me up. They locked me up in prison, in jail, for breaking their so-called Public Order Act and what do they call it again? Disaster Risk Management Act. They locked me up for that, and between then and now, my loss is approximately $5 million. If my wife wasn't strong, she would divorce me already. But she believes in what I'm doing, and she fully supports what I'm doing, even though I cause her a lot of pain and suffering in the process. But it can't stop us. Life is not just about money, and of course, you need money to survive. You need money to take care of yourself and take care of your family. And we have 3 girls, we have a house, we have bills to pay, and all of that. But none of this matters if we lose our freedom. So I could have focused on saving that $5 million, not losing that, but sit back and allow them to take away our freedom. You might recall in Germany when Hitler was ascending. It never happened overnight. It's step by step, little steps like what they say Andrew doing. That Hitler gained the ascendance and became the chancellor and then the Führer of Germany. And when Hitler started to get rid of some people, others thought that they were going to be okay. Then eventually he came after some more, and still others thought, no, but we'll be okay. And he kept coming and coming and coming until before you know it, he has turned the entire Germany into a living nightmare. Okay? A living nightmare. And that is what Andrew is doing to Jamaica. And we have to stop him. And we're going to try to do it peacefully. So we're going to try to do it at the ballot box. But we have to stop him. One way or the other, we have to stop him by any means necessary. Because he is determined to destroy Jamaica for his own personal gain. And the foolish thing is, if he destroys Jamaica, he will not be able to enjoy his personal gains. I know he thinks he will. Just like many African leaders before who sold out the African people in their respective country. They thought that they were going to be able to live above all of the mess that they created. And if you look at history, almost all of them came crashing down. The big house couldn't save them. The millions they have in foreign bank accounts couldn't save them. The cars they had couldn't save them. The security guards they had couldn't save them. So if Andrew thinks he's going to destroy this country and get out of it in peace and safety, he's wrong. It will not happen. We will not allow it. And so we, my friends, yes, mystery, we have to get back our warrior spirit. We have to take charge of our country. Yeah? We have to stand up. And I'm appealing to my Christian friends. I know that you have been trained to watch and pray, but that's not enough. You can't just watch and pray. You have to be a Daniel that gets out there and do something. You have to be an Esther that gets out there and do something. You have to be a Joseph that gets out there and do something. You have to be a Moses that gets out there and do something. You cannot just sit down and watch and pray, because while you're watching and praying alone, and you're going to sell your country and sell you with it. And they're going to come, not only inject you, but enslave you. So mark my word, we can't just watch and pray. And the same thing I say to my to my brothers in the Rastafarian groups. Don't just sit out there and say go and burn Andrew and do a Facebook Live and say all the stuff you want to say and say I'm unknowing of politics. You have to get involved in the politics, Rasta. You must get involved in politics because politics will destroy you. Okay? Politicians will destroy you. They will sell you. And don't believe that when they sell you. Watch. You recall what Bustamante did with Rasta back in the 1960s, right? They're not afraid to beat up anybody. They're not afraid to sell out any Jamaican, whether you're Rasta or you're not, or you're Maroon or you're not. So my Christian friends, get up, stand up, and help to fight for your right, for your religious liberty, for your freedom to worship as you see fit, on the day that you see fit, in the way that you see fit. We're fighting for your liberty. Rasta, get up and fight for your liberty so that you can smoke your ganja, so that you can make ganja products if you want, and nobody will make no rule and law to stop you from doing it, but give the big rich man the ability to do it, the freedom to do it. If he has $1 million, he can do it, but because you don't have $1 million, you are cut out of the process. Don't sit there and allow them to take away the rest of your freedom. Let's reverse it and get your real freedom. Ganja should never have been banned, but they listen to the foreign masters and ban ganja and lock up our people, our young men, and give them criminal records because they have a split. Foolishness. No, I don't smoke, and I don't recommend to anyone to smoke. But that's your choice. It must be your choice whether you want to smoke or not, whether you want to smoke ganja or colorado. That's your choice. Nobody should be taking away your freedom to plant a God-given plant, to harvest a God-given plant, to package a God-given plant, to sell a God-given plant. Nobody has the right to take away your freedom to do that. But our leaders over the years have done that. They have listened to white men, to white masters, to foreign masters, and placed laws upon Jamaicans and punished Jamaicans and caused us to suffer while they're carrying out their white masters' plans. So let me tell you this. Don't sit down there and say you're not getting involved in politics. You must get in, all of us, every Jamaican must get involved in politics. All of us. What is politics? Politics is the system by which we negotiate and come to decisions about how we're going to live together as a collective whole. Wherever you have more than one person, you need politics because they have to negotiate. They have to decide how we're going to share the resources we have here. And if you don't have good politics, we want to fight and kill each other. And that's what we have done for many years. Bad politics, bad governance, where we fight each other. Yeah? Me a GLP, you a PNP, me a green, you a orange, and we'll fight each other like fools. No, that's not good politics. Good politics is about policy, about discussing what is the best policy. How do we protect the rights and freedoms of all Jamaicans? How do we protect our children? How do we give our children good education? How do we give our children good health care? How do we make sure that every Jamaican gets a fair chance and an equal opportunity to achieve their full potential? That is good politics. Good politics is not fighting over party. Good politics is discussing good policies. How do we strengthen Jamaica and protect Jamaica from our external enemies? How do we as a collective ensure that we have good infrastructure so all of us can travel easily, efficiently, and peacefully from one part of the country to the next? How do we ensure that every community has the resources that it needs to bring out the best in its people? Proper schools, proper community facilities, proper policing, proper justice system. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So let's stop wasting time. The PNP and GLP has wasted 77 years of our lives implementing the dictates of their foreign masters. That's all they did. All they did for 77 years is cut and paste, parrot and puppet. That's all they've done for 77 years. Whatever their foreign masters tell them to do. Look at our laws, the laws we have, the laws that we have on the books. Those laws are laws which are primarily dictated by our foreign masters. What happened to our brain? Why can't we think and create good laws and good systems and good programs for our people here in Jamaica instead of just copying and pasting from other countries? Is it that we think that if it's not white, it's not right? Come on, man, we can do better than that. We can think too. We can build too. We can design too. And that is why in the UIC, we're a free thinking party. We're an independent thinking party. We don't just take something because some foreign country say. Yes, we look at other countries. We look at what is working for Singapore and we take it. We look at what is working for Netherlands and we take it. We look at what is working in Germany and we take it. We look at what is working in France and we take it. But we're not just going to take it so. We're going to twist it and turn it and build and design it and make sure it works for us here in Jamaica. We're not going to just pretend as if Jamaica is a highly intellectual community. We know that our school system has failed us, so we have to build a system that will lift up our people and leave no one behind. So that is why when the UIC become government, those who never get the best education is going to get an opportunity again. Even at 50 and 60, we're going to create an environment that helps to lift up those who may have missed out in the past, while protecting the interest of our children now by giving them a proper education, proper nutrition, and proper health care, and giving their family a property that they can own and have confidence and have purpose and have a future in this country. It's time we stop having to leave Jamaica to be successful. I left Jamaica in the 1990s. I went to Canada and lived in Canada. I learned a lot in Canada. I learned a whole lot in Canada. I learned how bad Jamaica was in Canada. I see how government could be so much simpler, so much more efficient, so that our small businesses can thrive and do well. I said, what happened to Jamaica? Why have we kept Jamaica so backwards all of these years? Why does it take so long and so hard to open a bank account? Why everything has to be so difficult? So I learned that in Canada. I learned in Canada that it can have a much more efficient and much more effective country. And Canada is not the end all. Canada is not the best possible outcome. It's just a better outcome than Jamaica. And so we can learn from Canada. And so I went and I spent time in the US as well. And I spent time in China. And I spent time in the Netherlands. And I spent time in Germany. And I spent time in Africa. And I spent time in a place called Myanmar, which is also in Asia. And I spent time in India. And I looked at their system. I observed all the things that they do right, all the things that they're doing wrong. I looked at their economy. I looked at their government. I looked at their healthcare. I looked at their education. And I said, how can we learn from all of these countries what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong and build a better Jamaica? And so the UIC sat down and we designed a system. We designed the best political system the world has ever seen. It's called a non-partisan constitutional republic. And this system ensures that the kind of corruption and thievery that you see going on now will be done away with. We have proper checks and balances from the executive to the Senate to the House of Representatives to the ministerial portfolios to the banking system to the regulation that affects the markets and that affects small and medium and micro enterprises. And we have found the formula how we can unleash the greatness of the Jamaican people and stop government from stifling us. We're going to unleash the full entrepreneurial power of the Jamaican people so that once and for all we can get back into the business of creating jobs, become less political and more productive, less political and more innovative, less political and more pragmatic. And so we're going to build this new Jamaica, but I need your help to do it. I can't do it alone. And I can't buy you. I can't buy you all. I can't go and give you curry goat or rum or $5,000 wrap up in a t-shirt. I can't do that. I can't do any of that. All I can do is share with you and work with you to build a new and better Jamaica. That's all I can do. So somebody asked Mr. Patterson, what measures will a UIC administration put in place to fight corruption in the public sector in Jamaica? I like that question because I've answered it so many times. Corruption is driven by systems. When you have bad systems, you have much corruption. When you have good systems, you have less corruption. I'm an accountant. I'm a chartered professional accountant, CPA. One of my jobs as a CPA is to help companies design systems and controls. We call them internal controls. What I've seen over the years, and this is well documented, is that companies that have good internal controls, good systems of checks and balances, have less incidents of corruption, less incidents of theft, and such companies tend to be more efficient, more effective, and more profitable. I am of the strong belief that the same applies to government. If you put in place a governmental system that is well designed with the appropriate checks and balances, then you will put a clamp on corruption, improve efficiencies, improve the effectiveness of government, and therefore empower the nation and make it far more productive. The more productive a nation, the more jobs it creates, the more prosperity its people enjoy, and the more hope its people have. Jamaica is highly corrupt because it has the wrong system of governance and has suffered from some of the worst leaders on the planet. Yeah. Sometimes you can have a bad system, but the leaders are not so bad. And within that bad system, they do things that are measurably good. But Jamaica suffers the worst of both. We've had, we still have a very bad system, and on top of that, some terrible leaders. One of them now sits as Prime Minister. Yeah. So somebody says here, Jamaica need to understand that you are doing a lot for us. You're actually saving us. They can't expect you to be handing out any funds. Thank you, Selvin Enriquez. I'm glad that you understand that, because that's the plain truth. I don't have the money, people. I am not a wealthy man. I'm not poor. I mean, if I tell you I'm poor, I'd be lying. I'm not poor. I am very, very fortunate. Yeah. Without any involvement in politics, without any connections, I have worked hard and built myself up as an individual. I'm what you call a self-made man. Yeah. So if you look back at my history, I was born into a very, very poor family, a single mother of three at the time. And we had a small room, about 12 by 12 feet. And we had one bed in there that the four of us slept on, head to toe, a little oil stove in the corner, and a refrigerator in one side, a little cabinet in the other side, and a TV, a black and white TV on the top of it back in the days. When you step off the bed, all four of us can't just step off and stand in the middle because it will be too tight. So you have to kind of, adjust accordingly. We used an outside washroom. So I had a bathroom outside, which was shared with others. Dark, dingy, and dirty. And cockroaches and all of that. And we were in the back of the yard, in that little room we were there. So I know what poverty is. I went to Dunrobin Primary, which was a good school, because of where we were located. So I got the chance to go to a good little primary school. But my mother didn't have the time to care and to take, well, she cared, but she didn't have the time to help me with schoolwork. So I wasn't doing too well in school. And so I saw how she struggled. And I remember saying to my mom once, I said, Mommy, I see how you're struggling, but one day I'm going to grow up and I'm going to get rich and I'm going to take care of you. And that was my driving force. From then, I wanted to find a way. How does money work? How does economics work? And I realized that much of what happens to any society is driven by the politics of the society. But I couldn't do much yet at the time. So eventually, I ran away from home at 11 and went to live with my father. in St. Catherine. He was far, was rich. Was compared to my mom, he was rich. He had a nice house, different bedrooms. Everybody have their own bedroom, so to speak, and nice lawn and what do you call it, satellite dish and telco system. He had business, he had car, So I went from poverty, outright poverty, to living in a more opulent environment. That was at the age of 11, having failed the common entrance twice. And so I wasn't doing very well. When I went to his house, my writing was crab toe. I don't know if I've improved that much since. And I didn't even know my timetable. I couldn't say my timetable properly. So um, he wanted to pay for me to go to high school because I couldn't get into any high school because of how dumb I was on the surface. And so he wanted to pay for me to go to school. And my stepmother was a bit concerned about that because it's a lot of money and I wasn't very promising. So the thought was, since I couldn't do much with my head, maybe they should send me somewhere to do something with my hand. So I ended up at Spanish Town Secondary, which is a school where you kind of dump all of the rejects, all the people who fail common entrance and technical entrance, you dump them there. So I was dumped there with everybody else. But when I heard that I couldn't do much with my head, so I should focus on doing something with my hand, something snapped in me. I had a snap. And that snap said, I need to change this story. And so I started to change not only myself, but the school. So I got the students to create clubs and societies. We started to imitate the other high schools. We got into debating, we got into drama club, we set up science club. I was the president of the science club, president of the drama club. I became head boy, student council president. And I really reorganized the school and got them to be proud of themselves and to feel like they're somebody. And that changed the whole outcome of the school. That year, the pass rate went up through the roof. People passed exams. More people passed exams. People got interested in being somebody. And today, many of those graduates are successful people today, engineers, administrators, police officers, nurses, all over the place. And so that carried with me to stats. I went to stats afterwards on a special entry scholarship to stats, to the trades program. And while I was in the trades program, which is a special program, it wasn't the regular school, the principal there spotted me. And he said, that guy is special, they think. And so they moved me from that section to the other section. But here's the story why. When I got to the school, there was no, our physics teacher didn't show up. And because the physics teacher did not show up, I decided that I was going to teach the class. So I organized the class, created lesson plan, and started teaching physics for that first 3 months at the school. And the class was going very well. And I guess the way I was behaving was exemplary in their eyes. So they called me and interviewed me. And then I was transferred from the trade side of the school to the technical side of the school. And then I became head boy, student council president. I founded the math club, became president of that. Key club president, vice president for the junior achievement company. Literary club editor. I got an award, Lena Company Award for article writing, all this kind of stuff. And then I got a full scholarship at the end to go to UTech to study engineering. So it's quite a journey. It's quite a journey from there to here. But along the way, I learned some key things. And one of the key things is that we need to believe in each other. We need to believe in people. We need to believe in the Jamaican people. We need to trust the Jamaican people. And I've noticed that the way that our politicians have governed themselves and governed the country is as if they're superior to the rest of us. And we must bow and worship them. That's why they take titles like most honorable and right honorable, And they build all these ceremonies and stuff to put themselves above us, above the people. And instead of building the people, they oppress the people. They use the police to oppress the people. They use the laws to oppress the people. How do they do this? They make laws and regulations that make it difficult for poor people to move out of poverty into prosperity. The very laws of the country are unjust. So they make unjust laws to suppress people. That's why it's so hard to get a bank account. That's why you always have to go to GP and go take photograph and get things signed up over and over and over. Everything you want to do, you have to go find a GP, run up and down. So they waste your time. Much of our time is spent in processes, unproductive, costly processes, instead of productive processes. And so the poor man can't afford those unproductive processes. So him stays small. Him stay out of the system. He stays unregularized. And so he can't access the banking facilities like the more wealthier people. Yeah? He can't get a break to build his business like the other people them. So all the time, the system is skewed towards those who are already born with privilege. Yeah? Some of us get to escape it because we find little loopholes, a little way, or get a scholarship or something. But for the most part, the system is designed to keep down the people and let through only a few. That's why they have gatekeepers. The minister is a gatekeeper. The permanent secretary is a gatekeeper. The agency leader is a gatekeeper. And that's why we lord it over each other. Whenever we get a little position of authority, we lord it over one another. And you have to be careful when you talk to people and so on, because they're in a position to oppress you. Yeah? You can't just go in and do your business. You have to be careful because the gods in these government agencies, they just step on you and crush you and prevent you from moving forward. Yeah? So I tell you, seriously, somebody here says, Mr. Patterson, your recount of your school days bring tears to my eyes. You were spotted by teachers and our children, well, that's gone, so I can't see the rest. But yes, it brings tears to my eyes too when I think about it sometimes, what is happening. So, my friends, I'm going to leave you now, but really and truly, we have to stand up. We have to stand up against this tyranny. We have to stop this government. We have to prevent this government from taking away the last thread of freedom that we have. They are going to crush us and sell us out completely. So please, I'm begging you, don't let them take away the freedom that Marcus Garvey, Nanny, Sam Sharp, Paul Bogle, George William Gordon fought and died for. Don't let them take it away from we. Don't let them juke we against our will. Don't let them juke our children against our will. Don't let them bring in no juke passport and stop us from being able to freely trade with one another wherever we wish, as long as we're not, using force or fraud or infringing on anybody's life, liberty, or property. Don't let them do it. I can't do it alone, but I'm trying. I need your help. I need your support. You need my help and you need my support. We need our support. My friends, we are stronger than me. We are stronger than me. We are stronger together. We must hold hands and fight together. We, the people of this country, must determine to be free. We must decide that we are again going to have the spirit and power of Nani. We did it before, we can do it again. Nani did it without social media, without modern technology. She fought against the most well-trained armies of the world at the time, and we won. Nani and those who were with her won. Sam Sharp would not live in slavery. He was prepared to die, and he did. Paul Bogle marched all the way to the courthouse to defend freedom when he was already a free man within the context of the environment. He was a wealthy man, a wealthy black man by comparison. He didn't have to do it, but he understood. He understood the value of freedom, and we must understand the value of freedom. No nation on this planet has suffered like we. 400 years of slavery, we cannot go back now. We must not turn back now. We must not allow those who think they know better than us to lead us back into the perdition of darkness. Slavery in any form is slavery. Whether it's slavery when you're wearing jacket and tie or slavery with rags on your back, it's still slavery. When you do not have the freedom to self-determination, it is slavery. When somebody gets to determine your economy, that is slavery. When somebody can take away your right as to what goes into your body, that is slavery. When somebody says they want to take away your child and juke them against your will, that is slavery. When somebody can take away your bodily autonomy, that is the same kind of rape as slavery. When somebody can say they're going to issue a passbook, and if you don't do what them say, you can't buy or sell, that is slavery, my friends. Slavery is not just with chains and a whip that is made out of leather or made out of bamboo. Slavery is when you lose the right to your personal sovereignty. Slavery is when you lose the right to your life, to your liberty and property. Slavery is when, whether it is a big white master or the government himself over you dictating what you can do, it is still slavery. And the fact that all the white men left here and went back to England and Europe and left some black white men here over you to be your master, it is still slavery. So the time has come for my people for us to be truly independent. Let us make September 22nd, 2001, the day when they threw me in jail because I walked with you to Gordon House to demand your freedom. Let that day go down in history as our new Independence Day. And we, for the first time in the history of the Jamaican people, are going to now fight for and secure our independence. The first one was a fake independence. It was given to us. This one will be a real one. We're now going to write our own constitution. We're going to have our own system of governance. We're going to have our own economy, and yes, it's going to be a free market economy, because freedom can be nothing less than a free market economy. And don't be fooled by the fake free market economy that we have now. That is not a free market economy. It's a fake economy. One where they give you a semblance of freedom, while behind the scenes they're manipulating your choices, limiting your options, and dictating what you can or cannot buy or sell. We are going to have a true economy, a real economy, a free economy. And September 22nd marked the first shot, the first day. So my fellow Jamaicans, rise up, get up, stand up, and fight for your rights. Take care until next time.